Hello and happy holidays! I hope I published this video in time for it to still be the holidays. So I didn't play a lot of games this year in the grand scheme of things, but I played some very interesting ones and some rather long ones, which is why I didn't play as much quantity. And I just wanted to share some of my favorites with you guys. These aren't going to be super in-depth reviews, so don't worry about spoilers, just the general gist of kind of what the game is about and what I enjoyed about it. I'm your cool Uncle Marissa, and let's dive into my favorite games I played in 2025. So I started off 2025 with one of my favorite games, A Short Hike. Anyone who's played this game, I feel, raves about it, and I can completely understand why now. So in the game, you're playing this character who is a bird, and she's at a national park for the summer, and that's where her aunt works. And sort of the tension of the game is she's really worried about this phone call, and she wants to hike the mountain to the very top. But in between all of that, it never overtakes the game as a sort of intention that you need to do ASAP. So there is so much more to do. There are so many characters to talk to, and they're all so funny and interesting and kind of weird and very much of a world and kind of our world too. It has the same whimsy of when you talk to someone who's really weird because, I don't know, maybe they don't have a filter, or maybe they're just really fixated on something, or they are a literal child, and you have this sort of joy in your interaction with them and how unexpected it was. And there's a lot of mini games that are really responsive and fun. For example, there's one where you play with a beach ball, and the way it bounces, the physics of it are really incredibly realistic. And then there's obviously fishing, and that's super enjoyable. There's not a huge catalog of fish for you to catch, but it's something that you want to do regardless, even when you filled out the catalog. Just a very joyful game, and also one that does not overstay its welcome at all. If you've ever seen Gravity Falls, it's kind of like that in terms of narrative, where it's so tight and it's so enjoyable, and you can keep revisiting it because of the fact that there isn't really any part of it that drags, because they really were like, we're not going to make this super long, but we're going to make sure that every moment counts. So I really recommend A Short Hike if you haven't played it already. And not to mention, the art style is so gorgeous, and the music is really nice, and just, it's a wonderful experience. I didn't play a ton of retro games this year, unfortunately, but one that I did play was Okage on PlayStation 2. Okage is a JRPG. The graphics and art design have been described very much as like Tim Burton-esque. I don't know, to me it has more like Coraline vibes, so I guess ultimately we're just gonna settle on Henry Selick. But it's a JRPG, so very classic JRPG mechanics. You travel to different parts of the world, there's a lot of dungeons, it's turn-based combat, and the thing that sets it apart is that it's really, really funny. The premise of it is that you are this guy, this kid who's like relatively, not like, oh, this is just a regular kid, he's nothing special because he's relatable. It's more like he's nothing special and everyone's kind of an asshole to him because of it and kind of bullies him. And it kind of feels like his parents don't like him as much as his sister. And he ends up becoming possessed by a demon. And the demon is absolutely hilarious. The demon is also quite disappointed in the protagonist, but it has a lot of these tropes that are common to JRPGs, these archetypes, but it makes fun of them and it subverts them. And I think even if you're not a fan of JRPGs, you will still find it funny in the same way that Earthbound is, you know, a subversion of JRPGs, but you can play it blind and still enjoy it. I think Okage definitely has that as well. It was just such a joyful game, and it does have also some more tender moments and more depth in some of its ideas, but it's not something that's going to tear you up inside. If anything, it's very wholesome, even in the conclusions of sadder moments. This was actually recommended to me by a viewer as a game that's like really fun and affordable. So thank you for that if you are watching today, right now, this moment. And I will pass on that recommendation to the rest of you. I had a bit of a kick of visual novel type games in the beginning of this year, and one of the games that I really enjoyed was Her Story. I know it's been out for quite some time, says the person who just talked about Okage, which is for PS2. But it definitely wasn't what I expected. So it's a visual novel where you are basically watching these records of police interrogation in order to get to the root of what is going on. And the uniqueness of this game, well, there's several things, but the one that's stand out is that it is an FMV. Live action video is what you were watching. And it's really interesting, the mechanic. So you have access to a very limited number of files, and there's no like folders or anything that you can go through. Basically, you have to look up using search keywords to find more files on the database, more videos, and you only get a limited number of results per search. So you can't just be a smartass and search like the word and then get everything, because most people are going to use and pretty frequently in a sentence. So you really have to be quite thoughtful and analytical and curious about what search terms you use. And it sounds like it would be an absolute mess to do that, and you wouldn't get the story right or anything, but maybe it's just I have great reading comprehension, but no, but it actually does work out really well. And one danger, of course, of an FMV is it's reliant on an actor, and I was a little worried, like, oh, is the acting going to be good? And it is. The woman who plays the character that you are watching interrogation videos of, she is really stellar and really natural, really believable, and very much a joy to watch. I can't say much else about the game without spoiling it, so I'm just like, I really recommend it, and I'm really excited to play the game dev's other FMV games as well, because he has a handful more that came out after Her Story. Next up, this isn't so much a favorite because I have mixed feelings about it, but I have to mention it. Baldur's Gate 3. I finally played Baldur's Gate 3. And I will say off the bat, I played it not like people who are super into it. I just played the main narrative line, completed side quests for my party members, things like that. But what was really wonderful is I felt really, really engaged with the characters. Not even with the story. Sometimes I forgot what the story was doing or trying to say, but I felt very, very connected to the characters and their stories and themselves. And this is obviously hugely reliant on the writing teams, but also so much on the actors as well, between the mocap and the voice acting, to the extent that it incited a new passion for voice acting for me, because I've always been a little intrigued about it. I'm an actor, so obviously other facets of acting are going to be a curiosity for me. But I was like, wow, the impact that these voice actors are having on so many players by really just being so human and believable, really fantastic. If you're curious about what I didn't like about Baldur's Gate 3, it mainly had to do with gameplay. You can watch my long review on it on my Ko-fi, but I feel like I have to mention it because I know it is the game. It is like, it feels like it's one of the games of like the decade. And you talk to people who don't normally play games and you're like, have you played Baldur's Gate 3? And they're like, yeah, I have. And it's like, what? Okay. It's like a level up from Stardew Valley in terms of mass appeal, which is very cool. And again, I think has so much to do with the fact that it's so easy to develop an attachment to these characters. And I think 5 is a great number. I think my 5 top games, that's what I'm going to title this video, probably, of 2025. 5. This is the first year that Christmas is going to land on 25, 25, 25. I didn't make that up, but it's really funny. But my last one is Fantasy Life for 3DS. Oh my god. That was my Baldur's Gate 3. I put like 120 hours or something into it. I had no idea that I would love it so much because, for example, I this year played Stardew Valley with some friends in my Discord server. And I was like I enjoyed playing with them, but I didn't enjoy playing the game. And I loved Animal Crossing, but I'm someone who I kind of got to the end and then petered off. And I don't know how much I would have enjoyed it if it hadn't become part of my daily ritual during the COVID shutdown. Other than that, my experience with cozy games has been rather limited, and my favorite cozy management game thus far was Moonlighter. And I think a big reason for that is the fact that the management was balanced out with violence and going into the dungeon and fighting and also upgrading your armor and stuff. And I think that's a big reason that Fantasy Life really clicked with me as well. Fantasy Life is a game where you pick a life and you pursue it, and those lives are essentially jobs. So, you can be like a paladin, a mercenary, an alchemist, a cook, a fisherman, an angler. And you kind of really have to pick more than one in order to actually have a fulfilling and normal experience in the game. And there is a story, but the story is not one that pressures you. Again, kind of like Short Hike, in that it doesn't pressure you to speed through everything else. And I think that's fantastic. So it's something that the stakes are high enough that you stay intrigued as to what's going to happen next, but they're not so hectic that you're like, oh my god, I have to know what happens next, and then end up not spending time just doing stuff to level up your skills and doing side quests. And this game has what feels like an infinite number of side quests. Like, I played 120 hours or something, and there are still so many side quests left for me to do. I mean, if this was a newer game, I'd be like, are these just like randomly generated? There are so many. But the characters in it are delightful. The gameplay is so responsive, like in every aspect. You cut a tree, you really feel the feedback. The sound is amazing. Same with like fishing. I love the fishing in it. It's so good. And you feel like the desire to level up for a lot of things and get to the very top level so that you can conquer like the hardest tree to cut down or something like that. And yeah, I had a lot of fun playing that, and I think I definitely would like to get the newest Fantasy Life, dump a ton of hours into that as well. So if you're a fan of cozy games with violence and you haven't checked out Fantasy Life and you have hundreds of hours to spare, I thoroughly enjoyed that. Thank you so much for watching this video and my top 5 games of 2025. Let me know if you've played any of these and what your thoughts were, if you also adored them. I'd love to know your top 5 games of 2025, or just your top 1 game. No pressure on any of it. I feel like anytime someone asks, like, what's your favorite? I forget everything. Like, they could be like, what's your favorite name that you've ever had? And I've only ever had one name. And I would be like, I was never named. My parents forgot to name me. I don't know. If you want to see full reviews on these and more games, that's over on my Ko-fi, and that's something that I will be continuing to do in 2026, just reviewing every game. Basically, the idea is I either review every month. If I've played games, I will review all the games I've played that month. But if I play a game that takes multiple months, Fantasy Life, then I review that once I'm done with it. And that's like a 1 game review. I played a number of games that I really did not like. So if you are a fan of frustration and negativity, I'm kidding, but like, if you want to see me complain about things, that would also be in the Ko-fi videos. It's $2 a month, and you get access to anything else I post there too, obviously. A huge thank you to anyone who's supported me this year on Ko-fi, either through subscription or through a one-time donation. It really, really means a lot, and it really genuinely does help a lot. Even just like the smallest amount hitting my bank account is super helpful, actually. Of course, a huge thank you to you guys who've been watching my channel this year. 23K followers. I know that's not like a lot for a YouTuber, but it's a lot for me as a human being. Like, if I try to imagine over 23,000 people, that I'm frightened, but with love in my heart. Yeah, so thank you so much. If this is the first video of mine you're watching, thank you for being here as well. And I hope everyone has a wonderful new year. Hopefully next year will be better. Don't look at me like that. I know it's been a weird year for everyone. The last year since 2019, this very long 12 months since 2019. But regardless of how this year ends and how the next one begins, don't forget that you are always welcome at Cool Uncle's house, and I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.